Every year, this month has always been one of the most exciting times to be a gamer, with there being loads of new reveals and announcements. Initially, of course, this came out of E3, but since that's shuttered, we've had Summer Games Fest, Sony State of Play, the Xbox Showcase, Future Game Show, and so many other events that take place right around this time. This year in particular had quite a few games that I'm really excited about playing in the not too distant future, and now that the dust has settled, we've had some time, I wanted to highlight some of my personal top picks from this year's festivities. Let's dive right into it. Fable came out swinging this year with a massive 30-minute raw gameplay demo, and I gotta say, this thing really impressed. I went from having merely a passing interest in checking out the game to being fully on board now. I thought for the most part, this looked fantastic. Love the whimsy and the overall fantasy feel. I think the visual style and execution are great. I mean, the game looks like a fairy tale right out of my childhood. Lots of interesting systems and mechanics were on display, from the reputation building to managing NPCs and working your own job. And even the worst part, that hilarious combat sequence, I didn't think it looked all that bad beyond the enemies being comatose. I did think the combat abilities themselves looked cool, so assuming that they address that part of things, there appear to be some snazzy looking skills and attacks that would be fun if used against non-brain dead enemies. In fact, after the event, they came out and addressed concerns about that specifically, saying, "We promise the guards haven't all taken up tea drinking mid-shift. Our team were playing on story difficulty. This is the gentlest way to wander through Albion. Should you prefer a sterner welcome, other difficulty levels will ensure the guards remember their training and are less polite." Now, typically these like story settings or the tuned down difficulties, what they tend to do is lower things like the attack frequency. So how quickly they're swinging at you, the response time before they even approach you, or things like the number of simultaneous attacks. So how many multiple of enemies can be attacking you at once. So yeah, this is good to hear. Them playing on story difficulty, I guess I understand that they didn't want to maybe have this 30-minute walkthrough ruined by getting whooped by the guards at the end. But also, I don't know, maybe that would have made it look better. Like, yeah, this, and then you could see what happened if you got taken out by guards. Do they carry you off to jail? Do you just respawn at a local waypoint? I don't know. Anyways, whatever. That stuff aside, either way, yeah, man, I was super impressed with what they showed off here. I think this looks great. Really interested in the game now. And Fable will be launching in early 2027, February 23rd, so can't wait to check it out. Before we get into the rest of the games on today's list, though, let's get a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Blizzard Entertainment, who are getting the word out about the brand new Warlock class being added to Diablo Immortal. As you might recall, the Warlock was recently introduced to Diablo 2, and then also came with the Diablo 4's latest expansion, and now a new variant is coming into Diablo Immortal. This class channels demonic energy to dominate the battlefield, opening up portals, summoning demons, and using all sorts of crazy hell magic. The class should be a strong contender in both PvP and PvE, and there's also this new Trial of Hordes Warlock exclusive event. They'll actually be having speedrun competitions where you can go up against other Warlocks in dungeon runs, and they've got the class change feature should you want to instantly swap to try out the Warlock while keeping a previous character's progression. The Warlock is coming into Diablo Immortal on June 17th, and the event will be running from the 17th all the way up to July the 6th. If you'd like to learn more, you can check out the link in the video description below. All right, back into the list. I gotta say, probably top of my personal list in terms of like my own interest has got to be the reveal of Guild Wars 3. I did make an entire video about this the other week, but suffice it to say, I am incredibly excited. As a massive fan of the MMORPG genre, things have been quite dire in recent years, with there being multiple upcoming big name projects getting canceled, and then out steps ArenaNet, creators of what still to this day is one of my favorite ongoing MMOs, that being Guild Wars 2, saying, hey guys, we got a brand new one in the works, we're gonna be playtesting it next year, and we're looking to evolve the genre. Holy crap, dude. Yes, I'm excited. Now, in terms of details, they're still fairly limited, but we know a few things. The game's gonna feature full-blown action combat. Hopefully hopefully and ideally they're staying in line with single player action combat games, and their goal here is to push what players expect out of MMO combat forward. There's also going to be a big focus on traversal that is more player centric, with us being able to do wall running, gliding, leaping, and lots of momentum based transferring between movements, providing a freeform way of exploring the world in fun fashion. They will be bringing back skill capture from the first Guild Wars, where you go out into the world and acquire special skills from difficult enemies. So say there's like a necromancer boss who summons up all sorts of skeletons. Well, you could form a group, go take on the boss, kill him, and then capture that skill so that you yourself can now summon skeletons. And that's just one of a plethora of potential examples of how skill capture worked in Guild Wars 1 and how it could be applied in Guild Wars 3. Now, the scale of the game is going to be somewhere between Guild Wars 1 and 2. It seems they are going for smaller group sizes than what we see in Guild Wars 2, with the trade-off being more engaging combat and encounters with fewer people. So when you compare the Guild Wars 2 world bosses, where you got over 100 players on screen, and it's kind of a cluster, like I like the scale of things, but it's also almost unplayable at times, where there's just so many people stacked up on top of each other, just casting AoE, and then you move away from the foot for his big attack, and then you go back to his foot when the big attack stops. Like, I don't know. Honestly, it's a trade-off that I wouldn't mind if it ends up meaning like we got 10 to 20 players, but the combat encounter is more readable, and you feel like you personally are having more of an impact on it, rather than just being part of this horde that's just, again, like farting out AoE heals and AoE damage abilities. Regardless, though, this is the direction that they're going. In terms of monetization, it looks like it's going to be pretty much right in line with Guild Wars 2. The game will have a box price. There will be no subscription fee or no battle pass that's a quasi subscription fee, but we will have the cash shop with cosmetics and, of course, convenience stuff for sale. And the game will be coming to both PC and consoles and will be fully playable on a controller. Yeah, once more, I am very hopeful here. I enjoy Guild Wars 2 so much, and I've been playing it on and off for like a decade and a half now. And with there being so few new big budget AAA MMOs on the horizon, my fingers are crossed that ArenaNet knocks this one out of the park. They've got playtesting planned for late 2027. The release date is to be determined. Aside from Guild Wars 3, the other game that I am probably most hyped about is also a third installment. I am talking about State of Decay 3. State of Decay was one of my favorite zombie survival games, I think mainly due to its combination of this big open world, lots of interesting mechanics, and the entire layer of colony management sim on top. I just think the games are really good. I've really liked them, and I'm hoping that they take things up a notch with this next iteration. A fun fact as well, if I recall correctly, the original plan was to eventually turn State of Decay into an MMO. That's not what we're getting in State of Decay 3, but a boy can still dream for the future, right? So State of Decay 3 will continue the formula of you playing as a community of survivors, building up your settlements with friends, pushing back hordes of zombies, and destroying their infestations. The zombies will be more dangerous than ever, with new evolutions taking over the landscape. We'll be reclaiming territory, scavenging, building, and fighting to create safe havens for the community, having to make decisions about where to live, what to build, and who to recruit. As always, you contend with permadeath, so you can easily lose members of your community if you make risky choices or put them into dangerous infestations. Plenty of colony management stuff. Will be reinforcing defenses, expanding our arsenal, and crafting homemade explosives and healing injured characters. And there is going to be online multiplayer with up to 4 people. Also, they have removed the co-op tethering, which was probably one of my biggest grievances with prior iterations, where if you played with other people, you had to stay in close proximity of each other. Now you can go off on your own and then come back together whenever you want. Thank goodness. So State of Decay 3 doesn't have a set release date other than them saying that the game will be coming in 2027. Another pleasant surprise for me this year was Star Wars Zero Company, which from what I can tell is XCOM Star Wars Edition. That's really all I need to know. I'm interested. This is described as a single-player turn-based tactics game set in the twilight of the Clone Wars. I thought the gameplay looked pretty cool. Love all the little special move cutscenes that they incorporate into combat. We saw a bit of variety in locations, and then of course various story sequences. This is a single player game after all. Some further details include we'll be commanding a roster of operatives in tactical operations, investigations, and other missions through the cinematic story, strategizing and adapting at both our base of operations as well as the ever-shifting battlefield. Operatives themselves, the characters that you recruit, they come in a variety of archetypes ranging from scoundrels, astromechs, and even a Jedi. Every operative has their own arsenal of tactical abilities to pick from, and there's even going to be squad synergies for us to unlock. And we will be playing as Haex, with an S, Haex, able to customize the look of our character, but also the combat specialization that we specialize in. Yeah, I like what I saw. Star Wars XCOM sounds good to me. Zero Company is set to release actually on August 27th, not too long from now. Gen Atlas. This is a brand new game from the creator of Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Last Guardian, and it looks like another one of those, but I say that with nothing but positive spin because these games are really unique and cool, to the point where I'm surprised we haven't gotten more like games made in the same vein. Regardless though, one big difference here with Gen Atlas compared to prior titles is what appears to be a heavier focus on combat. In the reveal trailer, we see a few sequences of straight up action combat shooting taking place. The game description says we'll explore a vast silent world where colossal structures stretch over endless plains, deserted facilities, and an ever-changing sea. As we journey deeper, there's this large robot that awaits, with its overwhelming power opening paths to places once beyond reach, transforming your conception of the world. Across an endless expanse of time, the remnants of those forgotten constructs begin to move once more. Ooh, spooky. So yeah, no surprise here, the trailer footage oozes atmosphere and personality just like their prior games. I am certain, if nothing else, Gen Atlas will be a really unique, interesting experience. No set release date on this one. Gears of War is back, and I think it looks pretty neat. They're going back to basics with this one, literally. The premise of the game is that we will be playing through the events of Emergence Day, that being the time when the Locust first burst through the Earth crust. Is it actually Earth? Actually, is it not? I don't remember. So this is going to include the original cast of characters, and I'm sure plenty of other nostalgia bait for old-time Gears fans like myself. In fact, I believe we're going to see the origins of the chainsaw gun in here as well, though it has been a hot minute since I touched the franchise. This could be the one to get me back in. Now, there will, of course, be a full-on story campaign. I'm assuming you can play this as co-op with some friends. Horde Siege PvE, that wave-based survival mode, will be back with some new twist and improvements. More players, bigger battles, larger maps. So you're going to pick from the classes being Assault, Marksman, Medic, and Breacher, and you can team up with multiple squads to conquer shared objectives and take down world bosses. It's an MMO. I'm just kidding. It's not an MMO. And then, of course, competitive PvP, all new maps and refined fan favorite 4 vs 4 modes. There'll be ranked and social playlist, and they've updated controls and movement apparently to feel more fluid. The cover system is still going to play a big role, but on top of that, we got jumping, vaulting, sliding, and roadie runs. Who can forget the roadie runs? Looks pretty slick. They do have a beta testing for PvP that begins on August the 6th, with the full launch happening on October 6th. Alien Isolation got a sequel announcement, and it looks terrifying. The original was an award-winning survival horror game dubbed one of the best in the genre. Notably, this next game will feature more open spaces than the first one, but I'm sure they're still going to find a way to make it scary as shit. So they released a 2-minute trailer setting the tone, and yeah, it looks great. The Steam description here says, when a survey team on a remote colony planet discovers a mysterious crash vessel, one member makes it her priority to investigate. No one is prepared for the horror unwittingly unleashed on the settlement. Nowhere is safe. So begins a desperate journey to survive and escape as she is relentlessly hunted by the deadly creature, the alien. It's the alien. The alien is chasing you. Beyond that, very few other details exist at the moment, but I am sure Creative Assembly will deliver once again. They've got a good record. Haex is an upcoming co-op survival shooter for 1 to 4 players. The game has us exploring a procedural open world, taking on deadly foes, unlocking new gear, acquiring skills, and finding crafting recipes. This is a survival game. So characters and worlds are distinct. That's one thing that they've made a note of. You can start a brand new world on for a fresh adventure, or jump into a friend's game with your fully geared up character. Every character keeps their very own progression. We'll be using this alien cube to gather resources, scan the surrounding, and even unlock extraterrestrial abilities and ways of traversing the world. We'll be searching for these alien seeds that will let us transform the world. Planting them actually unlocks unique new areas and resources, but at the same time draws in new threats. So it's a survival game. We're going to have all the gathering and crafting stuff. We'll also have to do things like managing our temperature and hunger, among other things. Now, the trailer they released appeared to be more cinematic than actual gameplay, so I'm not entirely sure what to expect from the moment-to-moment experience, but beyond the broad strokes descriptions of what I've said above, I mean, I think it could be neat, and I enjoy survival games. The alien twist is interesting as well. The Souls-like game Mortal Shell also got a sequel announcement this year. Their trailer showcases some ridiculous-looking enemies and visceral combat. The game, it looks to be stepping up what they're delivering from the original, which really lacked a bit of the punch that I would prefer in my Souls-like games. It does seem like they've taken a lot of the original's feedback to heart, are looking to make improvements. So the game is described as an action RPG set in an immersive, interconnected world, expansive yet deliberately moderately compact, designed to unfold its twisted landscape and hidden structures as you progress. Like with the original, you will be commanding the shells of fallen warriors, unlocking their unique abilities to deploy on command. And then in addition to the shells, as you explore the world, you uncover new story elements, powerful and strange weaponry, upgrades, curiosities, and more. The game's going to feature more than 60 dungeons, each providing a formidable challenge, along with a plethora of larger-than-life boss encounters. Now, there's actually an ongoing beta test happening right now if you want to check out the game yourself. I have heard some decent buzz around the demo. People seem to like it a little more than the first, so that's a good thing. Mortal Shell 2 is set to release sometime later this year. All right, lastly, I gotta say I am morbidly curious about the Crossfire game. So Crossfire is notably this insanely popular franchise in the East. It's basically kind of a clone of Counter-Strike. There are some notable differences, but more or less that's the experience it delivers. But it just never really made waves in the Western markets. Well, they're making a new game in that universe that goes by the same name. What's funny though is that this is a single player game, whereas the original Crossfire is a multiplayer competitive shooter. Again, it's basically like Counter-Strike. So the new Crossfire is described as a narrative-driven cinematic action adventure where tactical freedom meets grounded combat. Okay. So yeah, it's kind of a strange situation. You've got this massively popular shooter franchise releasing a new single-player game that goes by the exact same name. I don't know. I guess I'm just curious, if nothing else. I will say the trailer footage looked pretty cool. Not sure how much of it was actual gameplay. I guess we'll find out eventually. Alrighty, well, that pretty much concludes today's list. Now, there were far more games than what's covered here revealed at Summer Games Fest and the surrounding festivities that I'm looking forward to. But going through that larger list, these are probably the 10 new games or updates for games, because we knew about Fable, but this is the first time we saw like real gameplay. It's the 10 games that just in general that I'm probably most interested in checking out in the coming year or so. We'd love to know though what is on the top of your list that didn't make it here. I mean, again, there's tons of other games like Stellar Blade, Blood Rain, Lords of the Fallen 2, Phantom Blade 0, Marvel's Wolverine, Blood of the Dawnwalker, there's that new God of War. I know, like all this stuff is cool, but those 10 are probably the ones that I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to play those. But yeah, let me know what you're looking forward to the most. Maybe there's something else I'll want to keep my eye on. Just let me know what you think below. All right, that does it for today. Thanks as always for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time.